Good evening and welcome to the Minions of the Zoo Saturday edition. I'm your host and keeper of the Harry Channel, and with me tonight are Minions Sora Luna.
Hello.
DrFunctional.
I
can't find my window. Where are you people? I've lost you all. And SkepTok.
What do you mean, you people?
Yeah, you people.
Hi, everybody.
I have a window here somewhere for StreamYard, and I have no idea where it is. I guess we're still on the air, so that's good. Just coming out, just going strong with the technical failure, just right out the door. That's what we expect.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, we don't celebrate labor until Monday, right? So it's okay. You have to be perfect after that, though.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Well, okay, Sora. So are there any Labor Day prohibitions? Like one that I always heard was after Labor Day, you're no longer allowed to wear white pants. Does that ring a bell at all? Have you ever heard any such nonsense?
Well, yeah, no white after Labor Day, yeah, but I never looked into the reason why. I'm sure it's probably something to do with, like,
some arcane.
White is summer, and
Yeah.
that's you lounging, and now it's time to wear something more sensible so you don't seem elitist. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't want to get...
To wear white was a subtle way of showing that you weren't doing the landscaping or the cooking or cleaning, that you weren't in the servant class.
Yeah.
And when fall came, the wealthy packed their whites away. They didn't need to wear them. The temperatures had cooled. The tennis tournaments had finished. And it was time to put away the white clothing. That's really all it was.
Yeah. Don't let this tan fool you. I'm not the help.
I'm not the help, exactly, yeah. You wanted that pallor, that aristocratic pallor.
Yeah. This is that healthy tan you get from leisure activity, not that unhealthy tan you get from, like, making the world just incrementally better with your labor.
Right, exactly. Building up stores of vitamin D. How come our grandparents all die in their 50s?
Yeah, good question. Damn good question.
Vitamin D deficiency, if you really want to know.
Well,
but anyway.
So everybody gets Labor Day. I mean, Skep, you're retired, so every day is basically Labor Day. But are you doing anything with, like, the kids, or is there going to be any kind of barbecue?
No, actually, we just had a big kind of family thing, so everybody's just sort of recovering from that. We're not doing anything specifically for that. I'll get some steaks and cook for Brenda, me, and probably one or two of the offspring, and maybe some grandkids will drop by, but who knows?
The offspring, yes.
Yes.
Hey, come out and play.
So functional. Have you ever done any sort of butchering, or was that always done for you?
No, I've done butchering.
Okay, so I accidentally bought like a big primal cut of top sirloin. I'm like,
Oh Jesus!
So what am I gonna do? This wasn't actually the plan. I mean, it's certainly easy to take a breakdown knife and cut up ribeyes. All that, I mean, very straightforward. So I was looking into it, and it's like, oh, you can avoid that nasty bit in the middle that you chew on and then discreetly get rid of. You can get rid of that by basically just dividing the top sirloin into, like, here's a top section that you make into little not quite filet mignon type things. And then here's another section where you can make a smaller steak that doesn't have anything gross in it. It's like, okay, cool. So I watched all my videos and sharpened up my knives and went to town on that. And I wasn't particularly fast, but I was very, very satisfied with the end product. Because I got like a picanha / coulette out of it, got some ground hamburger, got a bunch of nice little top sirloins that were beautifully trimmed. And then I got a few of these little small sort of fake fillets out of it, and threw the rest of it away, and it was fantastic. I mean, like $5.35 a pound for the whole thing.
It's fun to do something like that.
Yeah.
What we do with Brendan Meat Lockers over here is we experiment with weird cuts of roast.
Yeah.
And make interesting and strange steaks and amuse ourselves that way. But yes, very well familiar with that.
Well, everything would just be a lot simpler if the normies hadn't found out about hanger steaks.
No kidding.
Because that's like a really great cut of meat, and it's not that expensive. And now you go to get a hanger steak, it's like $12.
You got to buy it from the butcher counter. I used to see it packaged as hanger steak.
Yeah. Oh, I can still get it. We're not going to say the name of my market, just as a reminder to Skep. But my market does sell it, packaged.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing. What were you
I do
saying,
have
Sora?
you beat though, Harry.
Well, hold on.
good
But Sora, you had a comment?
Oh, I said skirt steak too, because that used to be very cheap.
Oh yeah, skirt steak
Yeah.
is beautiful.
But it's not anymore, for that same reason.
Yeah.
It's popular, so you have to order special, at least around here.
Yeah, well, a lot of the ethnic people from south of the border like the skirt steak, and they use it for a lot of things. So skirt steak has never really been that cheap around here. Sorry, Functional, what were you going to say?
Carne corsage.
Oh, I was just gonna say I do have you beat because I've when I killed my first moose with my uncle, we had to break it down and butcher the whole thing, and I'm learning the entire way. It was like an exciting experience. Have you ever seen one close up, Harry?
A moose?
A Canadian moose?
No.
They're
They're
monsters.
gigantic. They are like twice the size of a cow.
Adorable
So it took
monsters.
it took us up until like 5, 6 in the next morning to finish breaking this thing down, vacuum sealing every bit of it, and then immediately putting it in the freezer chest because half of it was going to me and my family back in Toronto, and the other half was staying with my uncle and his family back up in Northern Ontario. It was, and I thought I knew how big a moose was, like the ones you're legally allowed to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
I had no fucking clue because we're sitting, we're waiting. He shoots, or I tried to shoot it. My cousin tried to shoot it, and he tried to shoot it all at the same time. Took it down, and as we're getting closer, I'm thinking to myself, no way. And I'm only like 15 at the time, but I'm like, no way, no, like it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it blew my freaking mind how big these sons of bitches are.
Yeah.
And yeah, it took so long to break it down.
You do not want to hit one with your car.
No.
Your car will lose.
I mean, they're majestic creatures, and the ones you hunt are like the old ones, the ones that are like near end of life anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But they are like the horns on this bastard were. It looked like the opening to the the Flintstones when they put the ribs on the car and it tipped over. I thought my uncle's truck was gonna flip backwards. I thought the pickup truck, just from the horns alone, it was intense too. Like these guys are no joke. Because I had to get the whole spiel the night before of, okay, if you actually come across one and he's within 40 meters, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Do what you can to get up a tree, but you're dead. Just know you're dead. If somehow one sneaks up on us, which has been known to happen, it's super rare, but you're basically dead. And me again as a 15-year-old kid going, aha. Well, I'm just going to stay behind my uncle.
Nice.
They're gigantic creatures. And who knew how many parts there were to these freaking animals? Because before then, all I was experienced with was like chickens and pigs. Those are so and fish. Those are so simple to
Pigs are almost made to
down.
be dismembered, aren't they?
Yeah. They if
They're
you
like
know the 6 initial cuts, everything just kind of falls into place.
Yep, or falls
6
out.
initial cuts, and it just you got to gut it in, but like it's so beautiful. I kind of miss it, but I don't, because it's also kind of disgusting to like root around in animal guts all day.
Yeah.
Well, I should probably be slightly more organized. So, hi, Skep. Is there anything that you'd like to share with the class before we get started?
No, just that Brenda continues to heal and is not really acting like she even has a new hip, although it does restrict her mobility just a little bit. So things are getting back to normal here. The baby, the little rescue pup, it has been coming along and has adopted me. I think she might be a permanent fixture here. And
I didn't hear about this rescue pup.
I named her Possum. Yep. She's a
Real
cutie.
quick, what is she?
She's
Or seem to be.
mostly Chihuahua, mostly like medium hair, mini Chihuahua, not a micro, not a teacup, but the mid-sized Chihuahua.
Yeah.
And
Your hatchback size.
yeah, the hatchback, right? Exactly.
It's like a rabbit.
And she's
Geo Metro.
but she's just sweet and cute as she can be, and she was just so mangled up, so mauled up. I mean, she had been badly mauled. Her back legs did not work when we met her. We thought she was going to be, thought it might be worse than what it is. But she's gotten all of her rear mobility back in gear, got her ass in gear, so to speak, and is coming right along. Weighed 7 pounds today. She's gaining weight and feeling frisky and healthy, and just perked right up.
Excellent.
It's rare.
And she spends just about every minute of her life with me.
It's rare I get to say this, but not all heroes wear capes. No, seriously. I mean, like to
my little hero.
Do that, and yeah, I love that because I've been too far down the news hole this week in just some of the animal stuff that's been going on that I'm kind of looking into for my own knowledge base. And there's just some really just why.
So tell us more about this animal stuff. What animal you're doing research into animal news? What's going on?
Like what species are endangered? Where in the world certain types of animals are being tortured? Like anywhere from factory farms here in the West to in certain religions of peace cultures, they like to torture dogs, black dogs.
Yeah, it's not going to happen around me.
In where's it? Mongolia, they have these little like ferret-like things, and they use them for their pelts, but they torture them. They like it. I don't want to get to it because I'm making myself queasy.
This is a fun topic.
I mean,
don't never ask a question you don't know the answer to, Harry.
Well, no, I'm trying to not to be too graphic.
No,
because,
I know.
It's my choice to engage in that type of stuff, but it is actually kind of traumatic to me to try to remember this stuff because it's now coming back into my brain. So it's a little bit more. But just again, just to know that like I've heard some rumblings from these people and those, and you get the ads on YouTube that are like, hey, save the dog, save the whale, save of this, save of that. And it's just like, I want to learn more. Like, is this shit true or not? And like offshore windmill farms killing whales. I think we talked about that last week. I can't even begin to imagine like why this stuff happens. And like somewhere in the West or Western countries, some European countries that are more westernized, but they have these offshore windmill farms. Like, why wouldn't you stop that project if it's killing? Like, I thought we gave a certain level of deference into the modern world to animals that exhibit higher forms of intelligence, dolphins, whales, dogs, and then like we've manipulated and crossbred certain species to be dumber but better for us to eat, like the cows. Like it just.
Well, bacon's pretty smart. Unfortunately, it's also mean and tasty. So
pigs are fucking assholes.
I know. That's what I mean. They're very smart, but they're assholes. So
the one that the very first animal that I had quickly, Steven, I had him, raised him for 5 years, whatever. But he was like my best friend whenever I was at the farm. He followed me around as I'm doing chores. Was really sweet, but like. I had to slaughter him, and I actually was a vegetarian up until that point, but I felt it dishonored his memory and made me feel really shitty that I wasn't going to partake of his flesh because he was my friend, and I knew what his purpose was the entire time. But I couldn't dishonor this other living creature that had to give up his life and not give thanks in some way. Really,
yeah.
Dolphins are not evil, cannibalistic wizard.
The vaquitas, those little baby dolphins.
Stop trying to.
And those river dolphins.
Blowhole. Cannibal, I told you. Enough.
So
I don't like that. It's not
there's a
consensual
dolphin.
bad touch.
I guess there was a dolphin problem at some water park near Tokyo, and one of the dolphins was sort of like trying to bad touch people, and it's like, yeah, they're like that. That's a thing that dolphins do. They think it's funny.
They think that's wildly humorous.
Yeah. No, Flipper, no. Okay.
Yes, Flipper, yes.
Yeah.
End of the day, though, I'll eat anything once.
Who's a good
Any
dolphin?
animal. One of these days, I'm gonna try human. Like I don't.
Can you get the long pig? Okay, everybody drink. So, Sora, which of the fabulous things that you were telling us about before the show
No, I'm not gonna eat you. Don't worry.
would you
My
like
wife
to?
is like,
Would you like to
"What are you
share
doing?"
with the class?
Oh, I went to, so I went to a concert that made you know your age. It was really funny. So Flo Rida was here a couple days ago because it's fair time. So we have concerts during the fair or the last month of the fair before September. And it was so fun. It was basically like going clubbing again. Like if you have a chance to see him like in a flare thing, in a kind of a fair or concert or anything situation, it's worth it. And obviously if you like the music. It was all white people.
No shit.
Was it like a Dave
predominantly
Matthews
women,
tribute band
obviously.
type thing?
Sorry?
Was it as white as like a Dave Matthews tribute band audience? You know, that level of white?
I don't know.
You're not familiar with Dave Matthews band?
That's an extreme level.
Sorry,
of white.
that's a whoosh.
That might be
example.
You
too
don't know
white
Dave
even for
Matthews.
you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think Flo Rida would be there.
So I went with a friend of mine and we had such a good time. And
Good.
I told her like the way I see it is that he is wholesome, approachable rap music for white people.
Nice.
And because he does rap, I'll put it in fast
quotes.
talking really, and it's just fun because he takes basically what he does is he takes more famous fun EDM songs and then he like covers them like with his own lyrics and stuff. But it's great. It's so much fun. He made a show. He's a showman. He kept the party going. The whole band. They had some live instruments too. It was great. And then I looked. When did some of these songs come out? Right, over 10 years ago. And to this day, I was like, oh no, there's no way it was like 10 years ago because it's always on the radio and it feels like it's just come out. No, some of these songs were over 10 years ago. And
Yeah, you're old.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to the club.
I
Yeah.
got a sad, and then I was like, "Fuck it, I don't care." It was a really good show.
You can't skibidi rid anymore.
Last year I went to see Jason Derulo, and he was fun. Nowhere near as fun as Flo Rida. If I would choose between those two, if you like that kind of music, Flo Rida, 100%, totally worth going.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I know
Yeah.
it's got to be fun or you wouldn't waste your time with it. There's 1,000,001 fun things to do. If it sucked, you wouldn't be there. So I believe you. I've only seen the name Flo Rida, and I'm like, well, that's innovative. So it's rap, huh?
Rap dance,
Yeah.
kind of.
The
Yeah.
hippity hop.
Like he
That'll
has
be
a single with
talked
David Guetta, that kind of stuff. Another.
Nice. Okay. I'll look it up
Yeah.
after the show. Because, man, there's just so many things that I just can't keep up. I guess you're not supposed to. Life is supposed to be so varied you can't cover all of it. But speaking of which, we should say hi to the people in the audience. And I don't think there's anybody unpronounceable in there, so I'm going to do it this time. Sorry, Skep, I'm going to take your
You should
job.
also say hi to you, Harry. Hi, Harry.
Hi. Let's see. Green Badger Outdoors, Frosted Glass, Cannibalistic Wizard, and that's all that's in chat. People aren't being very talkative tonight, but that's okay. That's okay. All
Welcome.
Glad to have you
quality.
anyway.
All quality in chat tonight.
That's right.
That's what we like to see.
Glad to see you guys.
So let's see. Where shall we begin? I always like talking about
Okay.
Tiffany Henyard, Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard, because she is
Oh God.
she is
What's she
terrible.
do now?
Okay. So
Is she arrested yet?
oh look, there's video.
WGN's Jenna Bar- quarter passing.
New tonight, a scheduled
tiny
meeting
video,
tonight
but
in
it's
Thornton
video.
Township canceled before it had been able to get off the ground.
WGN's Jenna Barnes is live in South Holland with Details
That sound.
on what
This
happened,
is
Jenna.
supposed to be sound.
No sound.
Yep, Ray and Mike.
No sound?
No sound.
No sound.
Oh. Well, that's annoying. Why is there no sound? Hold on. Let me fix that. This should fix it.
Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany
better?
Henyard wanted the
much
Board of
better.
Trustees to approve some events that she wants the township to pay for, but none of
course
the
she does.
trustees showed up for this special meeting tonight. That left the meeting canceled, and Henyard with the floor.
Yeah, basically nobody showed up because they weren't going to give her any damn money because they're broke. They're broke and they don't even know where the money went. They just know they don't have any. So Tiffany Henyard takes the floor at a meeting of herself and
With too many empty chairs, the special Board of Trustees meeting called by Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard ended before it began. But Henyard saw an opportunity
So this is me making my statement. So if you don't want to hear it, close the door.
to speak uninterrupted to the small gathering in the room.
And so that residents would know.
so she took the canceled city meeting and decided to do her little improvised one-woman show talking about how innocent she is of everything.
She will pull this off. She will walk out of this, I promise you,
Yep.
better than she walked in, and more powerful and more influential in Illinois politics. I promise you. This is the same thing that happens to Chicago mayors if they don't go to prison. This happens to them. They kind of get in trouble, and then they become more powerful in the democratic machine, and that's what's going to happen with her. Yeah. Yes. Exactly. It is like Palpatine working his way
The
inside.
nth degree. Yeah. These
Yeah.
people are so disgustingly corrupt. I'm glad though that like it's coming to light and the communities are trying to get some semblance of justice.
I don't think she thinks she's corrupt. She believes that this is owed to her.
Yeah.
She really truly does. She
does come off
that
as
way. Yeah.
incredibly entitled.
She's spent all of the town's money. They're broke. They're just not sure how broke. Eventually, Beetlejuice will figure this shit out.
So
But
weird
in the
that they
meantime,
brought her-
she basically did a bad Trump impression and just decided, I'm just going to like talk about, me and how I'm innocent and everything's going to be
Good
fine.
instinct.
Yeah.
Good instinct, but she doesn't have the case for
But
it.
she's got a microphone. It's turned on. There's people there waiting to hear. So just keep talking.
Sadly.
Let's see. What else is going on? Well, we talked about Starliner and the fact that the astronauts are going to come back next year on a SpaceX Dragon capsule. And I postulated that they were going to send up spacesuits on some of the supply runs between now and then so that they would be able to hook up to the air and all the other stuff in the space capsule. Well, I was half right. They're going to send up one spacesuit because there's already a spare that will work that they keep at the space station in case somebody needs it. So one of them's going to wear the spare and the other's getting another suit that's being sent up.
And
But-
they're gonna get. Isn't that bad? Don't you want to keep a spare?
It wasn't
Yeah,
my
you do.
decision.
That's what it's there for. But
Yeah.
it's all. You can't keep a spare and then never use it either. This sounds like it's a legitimate use for it. And these things, you don't just whistle these things up from Dillard's, or Nordstrom's. These space suits, there's quite a bit to them to put them together. They're very expensive. So I imagine it's a pain in the ass to get one up there.
Yeah, it is. It is a pain in the ass, but they're going to potentially do it as early as next week. One thing that's a little bit of a problem is that the parts that were malfunctioning are not part of the capsule that's returning. That stuff, those thrusters, are actually going to end up burning up in the atmosphere. So one bad thing is we're not actually going to get a chance to see what the hell went wrong with these things. But we will at least be able to see whether the capsule is going to make it back in one piece or not. Some of the scuttlebutt that I've seen, and this is just rumor, is that this has hurt Boeing so badly that they may just drop out of the project. They may just decide they
that's
don't
what
want
I
to do
heard
this
too.
anymore.
That's what I think they will too. They're going to say, we're going to stop the bleeding now, just because we got to think of the shareholders.
Yeah,
And the
they tried
unions,
and-
the unions are going to be on their case to do that too, because the unions want the company to continue. Believe me. And this is really starting to the liability potential liability for the company is just almost infinite.
Well, it's compounded by all their terrestrial projects, the airplanes, the problems with maintenance, canceling flights like left and right because a Boeing plane just isn't cleared for takeoff. Like they're not doing so well at all. So I think that they're gonna retreat inward and try to focus more on their like what's going on here and give up with space for now. Especially since, I mean, it's quite clear that SpaceX is doing all the heavy lifting right now.
Yeah. Take care of the troposphere business and leave the exosphere business to itself.
Yeah, because they've had 2 planes crash so recently. They had enough failure that they had to make emergency landings or something. Like I don't.
They've had more than their fair share of problems lately. So it used to be planes like the Embraer, those Brazilian things. That used to just
the regional jets.
Yeah, those things would just crash a lot. And
Yes.
I remember one time I was scheduling a trip for business and I was looking at my options and I said, oh, no, never getting on one of those things.
Yeah.
But now the Boeing things, it's just like, oh, this is just so bad for them. They really shouldn't be having these kinds of problems. It's a kind of a head scratcher from the outside why they're suddenly having these sorts of issues. I mean, they're obviously changing production methods to reach the new technology goals. It isn't a question of some highly trained guy who makes $70 an hour riveting this thing and then going over every millimeter of it, a whole team of skilled people. This is a whole different production technique that they're doing now. So things may be very screwy during the transition.
Yeah.
Well, they're doing all this stuff with composites now, right? I mean, it's not the same old stuff that Boeing used to do. All of this advanced composite stuff they're doing has fundamentally changed the way aircraft are built.
You're absolutely right.
It's what goes into making an aircraft is kind of amazing. You would be shocked at how much flex those wings are capable of without being damaged. There's a big machine that they use to test these things to make sure that they're functioning well. I've seen one of them. It was at the maintenance yard at San Francisco International Airport.
Nice. Yeah.
And it's kind of shocking. You look at it and go, oh, that's not right. But no, those planes are incredibly well built. But the composite stuff has really changed everything. They're trying to eke just more and more fuel efficiency out of them and make the economics of it from a business perspective better and better because they have to compete with Airbus. And maybe they're just getting tripped up because they haven't managed the change to the new technology properly. Or maybe it's a DEI problem, or maybe it's just cultural rot. I don't know.
And hi, Costin. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, I was half right. They're going to send one spacesuit up. So, we were talking about, well, everybody's talking about this whole election thing, right? And there was this...
There's an election?
There's an election. And there was this interview that went on CNN, and it was with Dana Bash, and it's predictable and all that sort of nonsense.
That was
I am sure that has been hashed and rehashed by Monkey and everybody else, right? So I wanted to look at it from a slightly different perspective, as I like to do. And I have a clip here from a president that I don't normally play clips from. This is Richard Milhous Nixon talking about...
I am not a crook.
Talking about something other than that.
The greatest concentration of power in the United States today is not in the White House. It isn't in the Congress, and it isn't in the Supreme Court.
Federal Reserve?
It's in the media. And it's too much because it is too concentrated in too small a circle. You have, for example, the Washington Post owning not only the Washington Post, but the major
and it's worse now.
News radio station and a television station in Washington and a major national magazine, Newsweek. You have CBS,
now,
its affiliates. You have NBC, controlled by one of the largest corporations in the country. You have ABC. You have, of course, Time Inc. And everybody knows their stroke. With that concentration of power, let me say, particularly in the television area, in the networks, it's too much. It's power that the founding fathers would have been very concerned about.
Yeah, and this is in the 70s, okay, like the late 70s, early 80s.
That guy was a Navy supply officer.
So and he's absolutely right, except that he's even more right now. Because there was sort of this expansion with the internet. Like suddenly it became so cheap to put together media that all these new outlets started up. And then the value proposition of these things made it so a bunch of them collapsed or just got bought up. And now we're really just back to a small number of things running everything. And of course, the NGOs and the Democrats and all the other shenanigans that are going on. The power of the media is really powerful. Kamala Harris, or I don't know if I'm mispronouncing her name, I don't care. She went from being the least popular vice president one week to this super popular new face of change the next week, right? And all these people were liking her in the polls. There's no other explanation except it's just that the media's got way too much power, that they can manipulate way too many people.
So Nixie Boy was right?
He was right about a lot of things.
He was. Truly.
The thing he wasn't right about was, actually, there's been a lot of interesting stuff about Nixon lately, including more people coming out talking about Watergate. I'm still not sure we really have a good grasp on what the hell happened there.
No, I don't think he's dead.
Nixon?
Yeah, I think he's alive.
He's on an island with Tupac and Biggie and Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
And Elvis.
Jeffrey Epstein, Elvis.
That's right.
Yeah, my family was actually quite friendly with the Nixons. They knew them better than the Reagans. But that's just the circles that people in my family were in. The Nixons were family friends, and man, we were really sad when he stepped down and flew away in that helicopter. That was not a good day.
That was I didn't know that happened. That was the day I reported to OCS. And you're cut off from the outside world the day you report. You have no more contact with the outside world.
Yeah.
And for a day I was confused because they kept saying, "Who's the commander in chief?" And I said, "Richard M. Nixon." Because no, that's wrong. Give me 20. And and I was thinking he must have resigned. But we couldn't get word. Eventually, later that week, we heard he resigned.
Yeah. And then that dynamic figure of Gerald Ford took over.
Yeah, Dino Gerald Ford. And Mike Ford was actually a friend of mine for a year when he was our alumni, that one of Gerald Ford's sons at Sigma Chi at Northwestern. And I worked with him.
Gerald Ford had a real skill for being at the right place at the right time.
Man,
just kind of fun. It's like, oh, look, I'm on the Warren Commission. Hoo-dee-doo-dee-doo. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
He didn't fail upward as much as he just existed upward.
Yeah.
He was just there. Gerald's there. Yes. Gerald will do it. And Gerald, he measured up to every task that life asked of him pretty well.
Yeah. Well, in terms of staying with the media theme, this piece of news came out. Zuckerberg says Biden administration pressured Meta to censor COVID-19 content. Yeah. We all knew that happened because we could see it happening. But the fact that it's been long enough now that he's admitting, oh, yeah, the government basically pressured us to do something unconstitutional. And, of course, there will be no consequences, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, the fact that we knew you sucked. Thanks for the confirmation.
Yeah.
Asshole.
Yeah. So that happened this week. It's just absolutely crazy. Oh, well. I'm just looking at some of these stories and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I got a thing here on immigration. Yeah, I'm not feeling it.
Maybe not.
I got another thing here. It's like, no. And I clearly have something about Trump charitable giving, but I have the content. Are they training to hunt tuna? So clearly I put that in the wrong column. What? Okay.
Or maybe it's the right column. We don't know.
Okay.
That sounds fun.
Well, how about under AI and film?
Yes.
Lionsgate apologizes to Coppola for now pulled Megalopolis trailer. Let's see. Lionsgate, which is distributing Francis Ford Coppola's upcoming movie Megalopolis in the U.S., is apologizing for its latest promotional trailer. The studio pulled it down after it went up online on Wednesday. The film stars Shemp. Earlier views... let's see. So the thing is, there was a bunch of AI bullshit. Let's see. Superimposed over title images from the films Apocalypse Now and The Godfather were quotes supposedly written by well-known film critics trashing his previous movies when they came out. A sloppy, self-indulgent movie, reads a quote attributed to Andrew Saris in The Village Voice. Hollow at the core, diminished by its artiness. You know, they have these things. Problem is, go away. Okay, however, as first reported in Vulture, all these quotes appear to have been fabricated. Online searches of old film reviews came up negative, and some of the critics who are still alive say those aren't their words. Some suggested the quotes may have been from reviews of entirely different movies or possibly generated by AI. I think Francis Ford Coppola deserves better. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Wow.
They spend so much money on promotion. To think that they would slap something together like that and not catch it is kind of unthinkable. The promotion for these movies is so much money. It's like you literally have one job.
Yeah.
You have one job, and you half-assed it like you were trying to turn in a term paper at the last minute. No. I love this story. Yeah, Francis Ford Coppola, his family actually has a winery, and some of their wines are actually pretty decent. So if you happen to see Coppola wines in a store somewhere, you could do worse. You could do worse. They're actually pretty decent.
Are they any good? Are they like the Barefoot?
I would say I would say the God, what was it? It wasn't a Syrah. That their Zinfandel and their Pinot are both much better than Barefoot. I haven't tried the Cabernet, but I thought the Coppola wines were actually quite good. As I derail my own show talking about wine. Sorry about that. And while I was looking at AI stuff, I found this site that is literally all AI-generated crap. And it's all supposedly eco news. And I know I've shown you some of their stuff before, but it still shocks me. America destroys hydrogen and ammonia. We've turned coffee into fuel for this engine. It's like, wait, what? So this eco news thing is all AI generated crap. It is like a publication that doesn't even exist in any meaningful sense. It's just AI generating clickbait that goes into... I just like, why?
It's really depressing.
Yeah.
It is depressing.
Turning your unwanted children into fuel. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll look at the pictures and I'll see something that I recognize, but it's just like, no.
But they stole that from, what was it, Back to the Future 2, where Doc Brown puts the coffee grounds into the engine of the DeLorean.
Oh, is that where they got that from? Oh, yeah. I guess the AI just pulled that.
But nice. Thought it was real or something. I don't know.
Nice. I like it.
I'm not as scared as most people seem to be with this stuff, but what do I know?
Well, I'm not scared by it. I'm just offended that it fills up so much of the clickbait stuff when I'm looking through the news are thumbnails pointing to this one source. And
my issue with stuff like this is not like fear or whatever. It's because the lack of critical thinking and media literacy is so high every year. Either it's not taught in school or older people unfortunately didn't have a good teacher when it was taught in school, that kind of stuff. So and the fact that we live in a world where goop is considered real science, that people follow celebrity and influencers. It's just another blockade in possible damaging news. Like someone will read it, not this, but like say maybe a health article and follow AI recommended course of action that can seriously damage their health or be like dangerous in other ways.
Yeah, you make a good point.
I mean, that's my only worry, because with this kind of stuff, I don't know. There's not a lot of people promoting like, hey, if it sounds fantastical, maybe we do a little bit more research about it, see if you can find more sources. That's not really said anymore.
No, well, if it's narrative-driven journalism, they don't care as long as the result that it creates societally meets what they want to do. So, for instance, I told you about this hug box called Blue Sky, where a bunch of people went when they didn't want to be associated with Elon, when they left Twitter and they migrated over to this thing. And it's quite the little bubble because they've all self-selected for kind of lefty sort of stuff. So a friend of mine sent me some information from there about the COVID vaccine, claiming that, those pesky side effects you get when you get the vaccine, that's not your immune system. It's actually a mast cell. This is not, Minions of the Zoo is not giving anybody medical advice. In fact, this is the opposite. Claiming that it was a mast cell disorder. So if you just took like a bunch of antihistamines and maybe some H2 antacids, that it would neutralize that. So you should just go and get your COVID vaccine. What they're trying to do is encourage people to get their vaccine by saying if you take these over-the-counter medications, you're not going to get any side effects. But of course, they're not presenting any proof that there's any mast cell degranulation, anything involved with it. I mean, it's all meaningless, right? And so over there, you've still got people doing all the things they claimed were happening over on X, that there's nobody checking the news, there's nobody vetting it. It's like, well, maybe if you had a community note server on Blue Sky, somebody might point out that, yeah, maybe this is right, but where's the proof? It's just a different bubble with different people telling things that haven't been substantiated.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that was kind of a long point, but I think you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I don't think people want the truth. I think they just want to be told things that they agree with. There was an article.
That's all I want.
Yeah, well, there was an article in the news. I didn't include it in the show, where it said that people who sleep in on the weekends have like a 20% lower incidence of some major health problem. And I don't remember what it was.
I agree with that.
But it's like, I like this news. I think this is the kind of news that we need more of, telling me that it's okay for me to goof off on the weekend. That's the best news, right?
Yeah, I would never look beyond the headline of that article.
Totally satisfied with the executive summary.
Yeah. That would be
Abstract's
outstanding.
all I need.
That's right. That's right. Justifies what I want. What I want to do. So
all this bullshit that they've been putting out about Bidenomics, about how the grocery stores are ripping everybody off. Mm-hmm. And we really need to get a handle on all this sort of stuff. So Newsweek put out this, said Kroger executive admits grocery company gouged prices above inflation. I'm fairly sure that the official who did that did not say anything about gouging prices. I doubt that word exited his mouth.
Yeah.
I think this is terrible journalism.
Journalism.
Yeah. Well, all you have to do is just, because this is what people want to hear. They want to hear that the bad people are making them pay too much money and it's really not Biden's fault / Harris's fault, right? But if you dig into things like how much money are they actually making, what are the profit margins on the stores? Yeah, they had like a higher profit margin. Same store sales growth was actually pretty high during the pandemic. That's because a lot of people were buying toilet paper and stocking up on everything because they were afraid we're going to be locked down for like a year or two. I mean, that's entirely understandable. But
I went long on toilet paper and rice.
But if you look at net profit after taxes for grocery stores, now this is obviously from the Food Industry Association, so just so you know, the source has its own bias. You can see that the numbers, even at that peak in 2020, they were still only after taxes making 3.5% net profit. That's not a lot. That's not a lot at all, even then. And more typically, it's in the sort of in the 1 to 2 range. They're not gouging anybody.
That's an industry that really benefits from line of business segmentation, Harry.
Yeah.
Because you have such a range of profit margins. Because when you're dealing with produce, it's not uncommon to have a 20 or 30% profit margin. and or even higher. And meat is commonly 100% margin. So then the center of the store stuff that's 0.5%. And that's most of their volume in terms of dollars. That's most of their volume. And the reason that produce and meat are higher profit is they're higher risk. The beta of the risk that you undertake when you invest in produce and meat is higher than when you invest in a bunch of cases of cans of soup.
Yeah. Well, the hospitality industry has similar sorts of things. I mean, about it, functional.
Right.
That basically food cost in the bar is not the same as food cost in the kitchen.
Oh, definitely.
They're definitely not. I mean, but overall, I don't see in the numbers any evidence that the grocery stores gouged anybody. When you think gouging, you think, oh, there's a hurricane approaching, and I'm selling D batteries for $20 a piece. That's gouging, maybe, but I'm not even sure gouging is actually a thing. Personally, I'm not sure that. I think it's sort of like hate speech. It's like, no, as far as the Constitution is concerned, there's just speech.
In the grocery industry, most misbehavior is providing ersatz or fake things, or and that doesn't happen in the United States as much, but internationally that's a problem with literal fakes out there. And the other thing is just marketing crap as being higher quality than what it is. There's a lot of subtle marketing things they can do to do that. You see that a lot in Walmart, frankly, where it's basically putting a satin suit on a turd, and stuff in the center of the stores, particularly dry goods, are plumped up, but they're really a lot of them are rather cheap. You have to be very careful if you're buying at Walmart.
Well, Walmart is famous for this sort of thing, as are a lot of the big box stores.
Yes.
But Walmart in particular is, so if you go into the camping section, right, and you buy a lantern, like a little propane lantern, it's little socks, and propane and get a little canister, you're going to get a Coleman lantern. And even though it says Coleman, you might get a version that they only sell at Walmart.
Right.
That has been made to a slightly lower standard so that they can sell it to Walmart for just a little bit less, and Walmart can undercut Big Five or name like a sporting goods, like Bass Pro Shops, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Walmart will sell you something that looks very similar to the same product you can get somewhere else, but it's not.
By the way, all sporting equipment is subject to what Harry is talking about that you find in a grocery store.
Yeah, I really like the more independent stores. Like there was a place in San Jose called Mel Cotton's. What a great name for a sporting goods store, Mel Cotton's.
I remember that
name. That is like the best name for a sporting goods store. That's like a name that it really sounds like there's some guy who spent all of his life out in the wilderness, and every now and then he'd come in and like sell stuff. That's a reliable, solid sort of name. But you get a small store like that has like a good return policy, and they're not going to sell crap because their name's on it. They're not going anywhere, and they don't want you coming back being mad at them. That's not how their business works.
That's the old Neiman Marcus thing where, Stanley Marcus used to take back anything. You could return anything for any reason. You could take it. You could buy a dress, wear it to an expensive party, or some big party you wanted to show it off, and bring it back. He would give you a full refund happily because he wanted you in his store.
Yep. I can say that I've bought presents for people at Neiman Marcus. It's been decades since I went into one on purpose to buy something for myself. But the few times I went in to buy stuff for myself, professional came up. They were courteous, just absolutely outstanding. They were helpful. Everything I could, every bit of consideration I could have possibly wanted was afforded to me. I had an outstanding experience.
Sales training best retail sales training in the industry, or at least top of the heap. Excellent people.
Yeah, I have a friend. I haven't seen him in a long time. I still consider him to be a friend because that's how it works for guys, right?
Right, exactly.
It does.
Friends until it's canceled.
My friend that I haven't talked to for a decade. Yeah, he's still my friend. Doesn't matter. But he's actually a distributor for a bunch of these high-end stores. And some of the stories that he tells me are pretty damn interesting. That's like a whole different industry that I've never really been part of, that working in retail.
Yeah.
I mean, Functional and I know about things we know about, you know about things you know about, you know, Sora knows stuff she does. I don't know if any of us have ever really been in retail for any length of time. Has anybody here?
Well, yeah, I was my in-between duty stations was 3 months as a Navy exchange officer. I was.
I don't think that counts, and I'm not. This is not meant as an insult.
Hang on, my Navy exchange. Because we were in charge of the Yokosuka catalog, which is all the mail orders for all the 3rd and 7th fleets in basically the whole Pacific Navy, and all the dependents over there made us, I think at the time, the Navy Exchange Alameda was the 7th largest retail operation on Earth.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. True story. I was the number 3 guy in that operation.
I actually bought. I went to a party in 5th grade, and I think I've told this story before. And everybody was playing music, and I was kind of an awkward kid socially. I know, everybody's surprised. And I thought after this, like, I have to listen to music. I need to get a proper stereo. And so I saved up my money as a little kid. You know, as best as you can. You save your allowance. You do chores. You weed, you do that kind of stuff, right? You do what you do to make money as a little kid. And I actually bought my first stereo. It was one of those all-in-one things where everything was sort of integrated, and then there was a pair of speakers off to the side. But that's all I could afford at the time. But I actually bought that at the Navy Exchange in Monterey.
Really?
Yeah. And then
the Navy Exchange in
and
Monterey.
Later, a few years later, when I realized the thing I had bought was crap, I worked really hard and I saved up a lot more money. And I ended up buying a much nicer Pioneer system with proper discrete components in the whole thing. Pioneer record player, preamp tuner, cassette player, you know, with a couple decent speakers. Speakers I'm actually still using right now. They're about 6 feet from me. I bought that at the exchange at Fort Ord.
Oh, yeah.
Which is obviously a much bigger deal. But the Navy Exchange used to be a fantastic place.
The Navy Exchange at Monterey was great because it was.
Sorry, everybody.
It was pampered. It was a pampered little bonbon for the Navy school to have a really nice Navy Exchange. When I went in there, having just come off of 3 months of helping them sort some problems they were having while I was waiting for this billet to open up in Monterey. You know, I went in there to see what kind of an operation it was, and I got to see what a Navy Exchange can really be run like. It was run just perfectly to a T. That they were doing all the right things, using all the right equipment, and their policies were up to date.
Yep.
We did a lot of cross auditing there, and of course, you know, having Navy Exchange experience, I immediately got assigned that. And those guys were great. They were really squared away.
Well, they were, but there was essentially it's a small building. I mean, it's a really small building, but just crammed full of great stuff. Okay, and then there was a hallway that went down the building, and on one side was the Navy Exchange. On the other side, where there were a series of shops, and one of them was like a beauty parlor, and you know a bunch of other things. The barber shop was in a totally separate building, and
that's called the J10.
Yeah, and I used to go play golf with my grandfather, and then we'd go get our hair cut. And you'd point at the picture on the chart, you know, which number do you want? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like North Korea.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember, was there some sort of like token, like pick a number thing, like with a big wooden comb? I only have a vague recollection of this.
I don't remember that. I'm trying to think.
But it was great. Sorry, we're being super self-indulgent. I apologize. Skep and I'll stop soon. I promise.
To answer your original question, I worked at Toys R Us for like 3 years.
Oh, okay. So you get it then.
I don't remember what we were talking about, but sure, I get it.
I've never really had much experience in retail. So in terms of like how you would gouge and not gouge, I just don't even understand the idea of gouging. It's just like, this is just the market deciding who gets stuff.
They increased prices before like during the Christmas shopping season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, how's that a gouge?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kamala's going to come in and take care of stuff. They're going to let you know what your acceptable profit is.
That's the economy breathing.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
And honestly, if there is a hurricane and you're the idiot who didn't get D batteries, do you really want somebody who doesn't actually need them taking them for $1 a piece rather than you having the option to pay more for your stupidity and get batteries that you need? I think the market's fine. I don't think there's such a thing as gouging. I just don't. I do think that colluding to raise prices, I think anti-competitive type things like that, not having enough competition in a market or colluding in a dark room and agreeing with your competitors to fix prices, that you need to get your pee-pee whacked. But as far as there being gouging, no, I don't think it's a thing.
They do that up here because two main companies own like all 12 of the different grocery stores, and they do a lot of it's actually been a problem up here that they've been running investigations on, but like everything else dealing with government, there's never going to come anything is ever going to come from that. I
think I'm physically not tired, but I think I'm mentally tired. And I can just tell because it's just like, it's really a struggle to do things. I just feel mentally really not energetic tonight. Let's see. Let's try harder. Let's be a better version of ourselves. So let's do This Week in Fear.
More like Scott Adams.
Yeah, let me do This Week in Fear, and then we'll do some palate cleansers.
Oh,
How's
Jack
that sound?
got in the chat, and Joel, Raymond
Nice.
Lewis.
All right, so
New people.
The West Coast is at risk, Sora.
God.
This is you, practically. The West Coast is at risk. New mega thrust fault research indicates that the next big earthquake could be imminent. Dun, dun, dun.
Haven't we been waiting for this for ages? Again, they called it here the big one at 1. We still have not had the big first because it has to be at 1 p.m. So if it's any time before it, it's not the big one. So
yeah, well, I mean,
news.
The problem is like huge continental plates basically rub up against each other. And there's like this huge subduction zone. So yeah, there's like the potential of something really terrible happening up there. However,
there's always like some sort of constant seismic activities all across up and down the coast, especially at the islands. But because of the islands, it doesn't really hit us here. Or there's the little ones in between too. They between Vancouver Island and the mainland, so they get the brunt of it, and we don't feel it here. It's great.
Yeah,
love it. Also, I don't live down south towards the border, where it's like Richmond, where our airport is, which is like on marsh. Basically, it's under water level, so that's the first to go down. So I'm fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Let's see. I don't think I actually put it in here. There was another piece of earthquake news, but I don't think I had the good sense to actually include it.
I do love the earthquake and stuff news. It feels like when people talk about how the sun is changing and that it's going to be destroyed soon, and then that soon is actually like well beyond known lifetimes kind of thing.
Yeah.
I know that's probably not the same with the earthquake and the plate tectonics and stuff, but it feels the same.
Yeah.
It's
soon.
Not quite an imminent threat.
Well, I can tell you what was in this paper. So essentially somebody has taken machine learning and looked at occurrence of small quakes. And essentially the theory is that by looking at quakes smaller than 1.5 magnitude, and looking at their occurrence over time, you can get an indication of whether something is setting itself up to happen later. And this gives you an idea of risk, Not with like super specific locations, but for a particular seismic region, you can say there might be an 85% chance that there's going to be a major earthquake. Now, going back and looking at past data, it's been successful at predicting 2 major earthquakes. One of them was the Northridge quake. And then there was another one that was overseas, and I forget which one that was. But I feel vaguely uncomfortable with any sort of result that comes out of machine learning. The idea that like some sort of algorithm can just look at a bunch of data and say, hey, this kind of reminds me of the time when this thing happened before. I really like it more when there's like, here's a theory, this is why we think it's here, then make a hypothesis and then study it. The fact that a previous data set, it works with it, doesn't really tell you anything. But maybe we actually will get something out of this. Maybe there is something that can be learned from machine learning. Because it wouldn't be that bad a thing if they said in the next 3 months, there's an 85% chance of a major quake in some particular area. I feel like we're getting there, but there's not enough there to get excited about yet.
Well, if say with these kind of predictions,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming it's just really so people start prepping, having emergency plans, that kind of stuff, right? Because like, what else can you do?
Well, you can't brace and bolt your foundation in that amount of time. A lot of the big things you can't do. The mostly you can just try to get the hell out of the way.
But like, if you can't, right? Because not everyone's going to like, okay, well, they say in the next month there's going to be something terrible here. We're going to literally leave the area, right? A lot of people can't. But like, what are you supposed to do? Just hope that, okay, well, hopefully the building I'll be in during that time won't collapse on top of me.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. Because like, it's, I don't know what's the advantage of knowing this stuff. Is it just for statistics? I don't know. Hoping people survive.
Well, you can use it for a lot of things. You could put, for instance, more emergency resources in an area. You could make sure all your plans and stuff are in order. But they have huge warehouses full of FEMA supplies, which really sound like a lot of food, but it's just like a few days worth of food for an area. If you knew there was a chance of something terrible happening, you could temporarily pump that number up quite a bit by moving resources from some other nearby place.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't trust machine learning for this sort of stuff. I don't think machine learning helps you predict the future. I just don't.
I've seen too many bad movies where they have something like this, and like the dirty protagonist, like a devastating natural disaster is going to happen, and then of course the U.S. military is always a bad guy, and they're like, we're not gonna trust you, you nerd, and then of course the guy who said that's whole family dies because he didn't listen to the nerd, and now everyone's sad.
Well, and there's always some government guy who's kind of like Smoking Man from the X-Files, who secretly really likes the idea of just sort of reorganizing society by letting 80% of people die from the super volcano.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's always somebody like that. It's like, yeah, it's going to be tragic, but when we rebuild, we'll do it correctly this time. Blah, you know.
That's never really been tried before.
It just so happens that the fault line it runs through that one part of town that's always causing us trouble, and we just cannot clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
But now nature will do it for us.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
As long as it takes San Francisco.
So what about this, Sora? Let's kill the sound. It's a pupper pool party. Idaho Public Pool invites owners to bring their dogs for end of the season party.
Aw, good boy.
Doesn't that look fun?
Yeah.
It's like, well, we need to clean the pool anyway. Let's just let the dogs in.
Yeah, exactly.
That pool has gone to the dogs.
That pool has gone to the dogs.
Oh, I don't need a hoppy hops.
Yeah. That looks like fun. I would
see it. You don't see any dachshunds in there.
No.
You know why? Dachshunds can't really swim. Their chests are so prominent that they capsize. They go over real easy, and that's where all the air is up in that chest, and it shoves their head underwater. Dachshunds are easy drowners. They're terrible swimmers.
Oh,
It's something to remember. You have to be
poor
careful with
babies.
dachshunds. And it's because of that big chest.
Well, it used to be a big deal when you'd get crossovers, like when I was a kid. Like if you imagine the idea of like the Brady Bunch ever meeting the Partridge Family, it'd be like, now that would be some TV. That would,
Yeah.
if something like that would happen, it's like, today on this other
Church
show,
man.
Quincy M.E., played by Jack Klugman, shows up to solve a murder on Hawaii Five-0. It could just be some crazy thing, but that was like pure ratings gold. So I guess I'm pre-programmed to like crossover episodes of things. Well, here's the thing that happened. James May actually went to Jay Leno's garage, and the two of them decided to hang out talking about cars. It was a little awkward, honestly, because there's a bit of an impedance mismatch between their moods and stuff. But I feel like we're really crossing the streams here. Like, how is it that the Top Gear universe is interacting with the Jay Leno universe? This just feels weird to me. Maybe it's just me.
Sometimes when universes touch, they generate the sparks that are big bangs.
Yeah.
This is just a bit of banging going on.
But I'm all in favor of this, by the way.
Car guy.
I think this is great.
Cars.
Yeah.
Just absolutely love them.
They're looking at a ginormous, like 16-cylinder Merlin engine. It's the same one that saved Britain from the bad people. And hey, let's just put it in a car, because why not?
Because we can.
I'll play a little bit of him actually starting this engine. Let me see. Smooth.
Oh, it's the Cruella de Vil car
Is it?
from the animated show.
Oh, okay.
I think one of the cars when she's in the snow, like the original 101 Dalmatians. She's in a car that has that kind of exhaust from the
Oh,
front.
really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I knew she has not just a good sense of style, but also good choices in cars.
She, in the 2021 film Cruella, 2 Panther DeVille cars were used for Cruella's car.
Okay.
Not the. I don't know about the.
They had a deep
I don't know
burgundy
about
red
the live
body.
action one.
They had that deep burgundy red body. They had black fenders and running boards, silver grille ornament, Landau bars and bumper, a gold horn on the right side of the car, and headlights and front bumpers shaped like an angry face, and hubcaps with a stylized CD for Cruella de Vil.
I linked to the image from a stock site that you actually have to pay for, but you can if you click on it, you can see the still that I'm talking about. Inside.
Okay. Did you put this in chat here? Private chat. Okay.
Private
Stream
Okay.
chat.
It's in Alamy. Can I show this?
Yeah, you can show it because you're just advertising them.
Yeah.
See?
Excellent. Nice. Stylish lady. Okay, cool. All right. So what else do we want to talk about? James May went there. Oh, here you go. I think you'll like this. It's a 2-year-old doing the ALS ice bucket challenge.
AKA waterboarding a child.
Yep.
Sounds like one of those sin. Did you just say? Fucking
Here, let's do that again.
Nice.
That's what I thought she said. That would be it.
Okay, one more time.
only turned like 55 years old.
And British.
Fucking hell, Mike.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. Good times.
What's all then?
Well, since Functional's here, I know how much you like the Cooking with Mama show.
Oh God, why?
What are you making?
No!
Let's make some chocolate pudding.
No!
Amy?
Okay, she's putting coconut milk on top of hard-boiled eggs and then throwing cocoa in.
Good.
It's
Doing
like,
a hard-boiled egg pudding.
yeah.
I don't know about that. I mean,
Mama's willing to be open-minded about it. Jesus fucking hell.
At this point, I don't believe anything they're cooking.
Well, you're no fun, Sora. No, I totally hear you. That it's, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Pupper pool party. Okay, let's get this done. I've never liked Candace Owens ever since Bully Hunters. Okay, just to be on record.
It's just a splash page, bro.
And all these people who want to have like a cool new black friend they can point to who thinks the same way they do. It's like, no, don't get sucked into this stuff. I said the same thing with Kanye. That if you try to make this person into a hero, it's going to suck. So here's Candace Owens. I didn't know that she was
A grifter?
wondering about the moon landing. Okay.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Okay, but just to be clear, people did land on the moon.
I don't know.
Okay, there we go.
I don't know.
I do know.
I just want to know why we didn't go back.
We did go back.
What did we go
Oh
back?
my-
What year?
To the moon?
We people on the moon?
Okay.
I'm asking
now
a
who's
serious
ignorant?
question. When did we go? When did we go
We
back to
first
people walk?
landed.
Yeah, I love these kinds of conversations. It's
Next to
just
the dictionary, it's her face, grifter.
you're gonna love what comes up though.
On the moon? 69. Okay.
July 20th, 1969.
Yeah.
We went back like 10 more times.
Who went back? Who walked on the moon?
Have you ever heard of Harrison Schmitt? Okay. He walked on the moon.
I didn't know that.
Right. An astronaut.
Right.
A guy who walked on the moon. There's very few people that have been in the position to go, hey, where's the moon? There it is.
Right. That's a good point.
Right. Now, so 12 people have landed on the moon. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin. Who else?
Right.
So this Harrison Schmitt fella must be going, what the hell do I have to do to get famous?
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, any excuse to just talk about how much I miss Norm Macdonald. I really do miss Norm Macdonald. He was really pretty damn great. It's just too bad that we ended up losing him. He was really a comedian's comedian. What a terrible loss.
Norm Macdonald?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
I mean, there's a handful of comedians that died where people are like, not just that's a talent. It's like they really got upset about it. Phil Hartman and Norm Macdonald are the ones that just come to mind.
Yep.
You know, those were the two that got lost that really, people really kind of felt it.
Story that's so sad.
You know, Patrice O'Neill dies, and you're like, okay, well, who didn't see that coming?
Yeah.
You know, not that he wasn't an amazing talent, but come on.
Yeah, but he didn't take care of it at all.
However, you know, and I miss Patrice O'Neill too, but you know, it's a different sort of thing. Anyway, Candace Owens is kind of a nitwit. I'm sorry, she just kind of is, because Joe Rogan was a little weird on this topic, but then he actually took the time to talk to people who knew stuff and has changed his position. That's like the way you're supposed to do it, because everybody knows, lots of people believe stupid shit and even talk about it out loud. But I like to believe in redemption, and Candace hasn't really shown signs of redemption. Just,
no,
you know,
the disease is getting worse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What Functional said.
So this is I'm just doing things that interest me at this point because I'm tired. The 5 worst episodes of Star Trek, the original series, ranked. This is a trash article, and I just want to talk about how terrible it was. So number 5, Patterns of Force. This was the one where basically a Starfleet guy crashed on this planet. They were very impressionable, and he decided, if I want it to be really efficient, let's just model it after the Nazis.
Absolutely. And just to see Spock in a Wehrmacht helmet style is outstanding. That's just a great picture.
I mean, it was kind of terrible in a way, but at the same time, I think that the themes that were underneath it all were actually pretty decent.
Oh, sure.
It was sort of a ham-fisted implementation of a pretty good story idea.
There was a lot of that in TOS.
There was a lot of that. Well, they had serious budget issues. They were trying to make a TV show, and a lot of them.
Yep.
So it wasn't like somebody just putting together their project that they get to work on for 6 months to graduate from film school. You know, they were producing many episodes in a year on a budget, and it was tough. Now, I think we can all agree The Way to Eden, number 4, I'm almost surprised it's not number 1.
Number 1.
Is there a worse episode of
That would have
TOS
been
than
my
this?
number 1. No, that would have been my number 1 for worst. Oh, God.
Are you familiar with this stuff, Sora?
It's just cringe.
Essentially, a bunch of space hippies want to go to Space Hippie Eden, and then when they get there, everything is toxic and full of acid. The end.
Yeah.
Like not the fun acid, the bad acid.
Yeah.
Very bad acid.
They're just trying to drop out, man, so they can just like have this chill vibe on this planet. But like they step on the grass and their feet burn. It's just it's pretty bad. There are way worse episodes of TNG.
Like the terrible filler episode because they
yeah. There are way
They
worse.
needed to do hippies in space.
I mean, it's not Dr. Crusher meets her ghost lover in season 7 of TNG.
Oh God, we don't talk about that.
Oh yeah, there are TNG and Voyager
that is
episodes that
is
are way
the
worse.
Worst TNG trope of all.
It's
This
so
is the only
bad.
thing worse than Wesley.
Now, there's an episode where Space Bimbo steals Spock's brain, and then they use his brain as the controller for their little space female utopia. And it's kind of a terrible episode, but the hippie episode is so much worse. I can't even have them be in the same ballpark. This is like campy and kind of bad, but I wouldn't say it's terrible. Am I wrong, Skep?
No, I'm with you on that. It's just you know, it has that great line in it. His brain is gone. You know, when Bones comes out with that line, I love that. It's got some iconic moments in it.
Well, at the end, when they're trying to put Spock's brain back in his body, you really, because the thing about TOS is it's about the relationships between the characters. You get to know them over the course of all these episodes, and you get to really see Bones going above and beyond, really struggling with his own personal limitations to try to save his friend. And I'm sorry, that's like good TV. That's good drama. It may have like a little bit of a candy coating of camp on that, but overall, it's actually a much stronger episode than that
not a
psychedelic
soldier.
hippie thing. Now, this won the alternative factor, where there's basically like this guy Lazarus and anti-Lazarus, and they're in some sort of fight, and they drag the Enterprise into it. It's kind of terrible in that it doesn't feel like anything that happens actually matters, right? It's almost like if the Enterprise didn't show up, it wouldn't make any difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one
They're
is actually
incidental to the
pretty terrible. And then they have Turnabout Intruder, where some woman, because women can't pilot starships and do things, ends up essentially mind swapping with Kirk's body. Now, this is kind of a terrible episode because I hate these kind of episodes. I mean, just
ones
as
where the guys are in the girl's body and vice versa.
Yeah. Okay, but
kind of cheap.
Well, what annoys me is even calling it Turnabout refers to a book by Thornton Smith, which I love, which is about this married couple who are having some issues. They're kind of at odds with each other, and they end up body swapping, and then the hilarious hijinks ensue. And it's actually a really funny, good book, which I recommend. But so they clearly knew what they were doing when they wrote this. Like, they were aware of the the comedy thing that Thorne Smith had written when they titled the episode. But this episode is sort of objectively terrible. But if you go through all of the episodes of TNG, I feel like it holds up pretty well compared to the other series. I mean, even the bad episodes aren't that bad except for that hippie thing. God. Just so terrible.
Yeah.
I know.
The perms. The men with the perms. Oh my God.
All right.
How did
I
we
keep
survive
I
that
keep
era?
forgetting that Functional doesn't care about TOS that much.
I do.
Okay.
I already said the worst one is the hippie one. I have
Oh yeah,
no other
absolutely.
strong opinions.
Yeah, absolutely. So Candace
watch it
Owens, get rid of her. Well, didn't you go on a thing to rewatch all of the Star Trek, like starting at the beginning and working your way through?
When I have nothing on, there's a Twitch channel that runs Star Trek chronologically, beginning to end, including movies, and that's just constantly on in the bedroom and on my second monitor. And
What's
what's
your favorite TOS episode? Functional. What's your favorite one?
Fuck, the one with Edith Wheeler?
Keeler.
Yeah. I think that's one of my favorites.
Was that like Gateway to Tomorrow or something? I forget.
Gateway
what
to
it's called.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. And Trouble with Tribbles is classic.
Yep.
That's my number one. Is Trouble with Tribbles.
It would either be that would probably be my favorite. Then the Gateway to Tomorrow, and then the third would probably be. Fuck, I can't remember. Is the one with the Nazis the one where they have the TV? It's very Romanesque.
Yeah.
They have gladiatorial combat. That one's probably my third favorite.
Well, that's one of the ones they were criticizing in this article.
Yeah. That's why I'm
because
like,
they're
no,
asshats.
that's not.
Yeah.
That's not on this list at all. That's stupid. They're doing it because Nazis bad. Can't learn anything about the Nazis, guys. I shouldn't even be saying Nazis.
We cannot play the sound and stuff for this, but this episode here
the one with the Romulan
with the
chick, too.
Romulans, what's her name? Her last name is Linville. I cannot remember her first name because I suck, but I think this is the most underrated episode. This to me is easily top 5. I mean, just because
he's dressed up like a Romulan?
Yeah. Well, they had to steal a cloaking device.
And eyebrow pencil.
But this interaction between Leonard Nimoy and I think Georgiana Linville is so good.
Mm-hmm.
We just can't play very much of it.
The Federation.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. So let's see. But you didn't ask me. You asked Functional. Why am I talking?
Just believe every bit of that, don't you?
Yep.
I just love that. That's a magical series.
Yep. Okay, so let's see. What were we doing here? Well, we're not doing this because we're going to get copy struck. Let's see. We can save that one for later.
There's just so much wrong with Strange New Worlds, but it is at least a step in the right direction of capturing TOS.
Mm-hmm.
But no.
Well, Sora, since you're here, have you heard about underconsumption core?
Oh, is it the one where it's like some of them are making themselves basically throw out everything, and it's like now it's a competition to show how little that you need, and it's basically poverty LARPing?
It's basically poverty LARPing, yeah. Gen Z mocked for underconsumption core, which involves re-wearing clothes, using bags for life, not upgrading your phone, and having a basic skincare routine. Maybe they're just preparing for the hard times ahead. I don't think so, but it seems more like sometimes online in Discord, I'll get into a thing where somebody will be like, I've challenged myself to only spend $20 or 20 pounds a week on food. And now I'm going to talk about all the cheap food that I'm eating forever. It's like, okay, I don't know if you've ever run across these, but I've run across that sort of thing several times. And it's sort of a weird flex, isn't it? Just that I'm not going to upgrade my phone or... Yeah, it just strikes me as being kind of weird. But there's underconsumption core, and then there was this thing that was in Forbes just recently, the Gen Z underconsumption trend, the canary in the coal mine. Essentially, like, should we be worried about society if suddenly Gen Z just stops buying shit? I think I can already predict what Skep is going to say.
So good. It's their turn because this is the Gen Z version of millennials are killing X.
Yeah.
Like the wedding industry is dying because of millennials. The restaurant culture is dying because of millennials or whatever. It's that, but for Gen Z.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It's just changing. That's all. Culture's just changing.
Well, I do think with all the inflation that a lot of people have changed their habits to compensate. That much is clear.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's some contraction in discretionary spending.
Well, people just don't have the money. They just don't have the money to spend this stuff, you know. So I had something I was going to bring up earlier. It's the one graph that I keep handy on my phone in case anybody wants to shout at me about Kamala Harris. I like to keep this graph with me. Inflation outpaced wage growth for 2 years. Now things are looking up. But it essentially shows inflation versus wage growth. And you can see during the Trump years, people were making way more money versus inflation. I mean, it was a good time to be a wage earner during those 4 years. And it all basically went to shit during the Biden years. Bidenomics was absolutely terrible. And then at the end, they're bragging about this last little bit here at the end of this graph. This is what they're trying to say is like the new normal.
Now, but in truth, Biden wasn't really responsible for the economy going the way that it does. We give presidents way too much credit and blame, for the economy. The economy's going to poop along and do what the economy does. And the government is a huge player in that, and obviously is a big influence, but it's not the only influence, and it's not even a majority influence most of the time.
It's not the only influence, but the Keynesian angle to this, where you suddenly do the Inflation Reduction Act by spending trillions of new dollars and issuing trillions of dollars in new bonds,
and that's all printed money. Too.
I'm sorry, the buck does stop where? Oh, on Biden's desk.
That is push inflation.
Yeah,
that's exactly what that
exactly.
Is. Yeah.
And also, there's other inflation that comes from just the inefficiencies that were pushed into the market. It's deliberately driving up energy prices from day one. It's not a coincidence
Various
that these
means.
things happen.
Up here, they levied a new unconstitutional tax, the carbon tax.
Nice.
And of course, if you even have a rudimentary understanding of supply chains, energy is paid at every step.
Yeah.
So it causes hell. It causes lots of hell.
Yep. I know. All right.
I hate it.
Well,
I hate it, Harry. I hate it. Make it stop.
Okay. In This Week in Duh,
excuse me.
This is not going to surprise Skep at all. What is the hardest school to get into in America, Skep? Which one, if you just had to pick one, just which one?
Off the top of my head,
I'll bet you get it.
That weird one. It's probably Minerva or something. It's probably Minerva.
Well, I'm gonna agree with this article. It's Caltech.
Well, okay.
Caltech is. You get all of these people that are just the top of the top of the top in terms of grades, test scores, and everything, right? And they're historically known for, because they just don't have a way of deciding. There are just so many applicants. What they would do is there was a stairwell that they had, and they would take all of these applications and just toss them. And the ones that went the furthest were the ones that got in out of the stack. That was
holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, Caltech and MIT are probably two of the best schools around, but Caltech is even harder to get into. It's an amazing school. As much as California sucks, Caltech is pretty much a jewel. It's a fantastic school. So the fact that somebody wrote an article about it's hard to get into Caltech, it's like, okay, and water is wet, and next. But it is an amazing school. I mean, if you're anybody who thinks that higher education is meaningless, it's like, well, sometimes, but not when you go to this school. This is an amazing place. This is where Richard Feynman taught.
Oh yeah, that's where Gelman was. There are so many great names at that university.
Oh yeah, just an outstanding school and one of the best in the world, easily.
Kip Thorne.
Yeah, Kip Thorne. I keep thinking I want to buy his book. Anyway, a little light reading. Now, speaking of higher education, Stanford, there were a bunch of people in this creative writing program. They last year decided to go on strike and want to be put on a 10-year road and do all that sort of stuff. And lo and behold, 2024 comes around and they just decided, we really need to reorganize some things. We're just going to let all of you go.
Right.
Have a nice day.
Was that interlaced with the Hollywood Writers Guild?
I don't believe there's a connection.
Oh,
Did they take it well?
Yeah, they took it well. Creative writing, a section of the English department, is one of the most popular minors at Stanford. I'm sure it is because it's probably fun to do creative writing. And as a minor, why not? The lectures are part of the Jones Lectureship, a teaching appointment at Stanford created in 1946, blah, 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 blah. Well, they got uppity. They went on strike. They demanded a whole bunch of stuff. And now they've all been let go. And good. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
Yeah. Au revoir.
Yeah. I mean, Stanford's got a lot of problems and they do a lot of dumb shit. But this is not one of the dumb things.
Yeah, this is a good thing.
I used to like that Condoleezza Rice used to be in charge there.
Yeah.
She was pretty awesome.
What's the institute there? Is that the
Hoover Institute?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very prestigious.
I mean, we'll go there and Thomas Sowell might be shuffling around the halls.
He's lectured there before. In fact, I've caught some of his lectures. I think some of them were from the Hoover Institute. Pretty sure they were.
Well, before I used to get books at the postgraduate school, and there wasn't really a good bookstore. But a friend of mine, the same guy that taught me differential calculus on a chalkboard sitting on the floor at Radio Shack when I was in 7th grade, I went with him and his family to Stanford one time. I just said, I'm just gonna take a day off from school, and I actually went to the Stanford bookstore, and my jaw was just like dropping. It's like,
Yeah. Can I just put a bunk in the corner? And
yeah. I mean, it's just an amazing school.
Yeah.
I want all the lefties to just get kicked out. I'm just so tired of this crap.
That's where I took my LSATs, was at Stanford.
Yeah.
That was right at the end of, I was deciding whether or not I was going to go out and work, cash in on having been an officer and get a really good job, which is what I ended up doing, or go to law school.
Well, I mean, I assume you've been to the Berkeley campus too.
Oh yeah.
The problem with the Berkeley campus is that it's in Berkeley.
Yeah.
I mean, the campus itself is amazing, but it's the other problem with Berkeley is they like to just let in lots of undergraduates and then grind them to a fine paste, and then they'll be fine in terms of their numbers after that. They just like human sacrificing about half of their first years in the hard majors. It's not a good place to go if you want a nurturing educational experience.
Yeah, well, yeah. At Northwestern, when I went to school, we actually had to compete for grades, even in the quantitative classes.
Nice. All right, sorry,
on a
moving
curve,
on.
hard curve, just so you know.
See, what were we talking about?
Uphill to school both ways, 5 miles. No,
let's talk about fish.
It's very cold.
Okay, so oceanographers find underwater mountain bigger than Mount Olympus. It's like interesting way to characterize this thing.
Is that the Zeus octopus?
That's the Casper octopus, actually.
Does he look like a ghost?
Yeah, he's nicknamed Casper.
Yes.
Normally, you don't see them in that part of the ocean. But, so they found this ginormous mountain. Where is it? Again, off the coast of Chile. And it actually has like all kinds of cool things living there. Cool. So one of the groups of oceanographers who were actually looking at this is from Palo Alto. So you can look at some of the things they found. So here's a fish. You should like this one. It's called a sea toad. And he's using his pectoral fins.
He looks very alarmed.
He does look very alarmed. That's the sea toad. And there's a delicious crab. And so this little creature right here is actually referred to as a flying spaghetti monster. It's like, nice. And they say Atheism Plus is dead. I think that's a fitting name for him, don't you, Skep?
I do too. Yeah, very much
his
so.
noodly appendage.
Very much
And
so.
there's Casper. I think that's a good name for that.
I will say that Atheism Plus was DOA, when it was conceived.
I'm sorry, I meant to say the new Atheist, not Atheism Plus. God, Rebecca
Atheism
Watson
Plus
to
is a
myself.
different deal. Yeah.
Never go full Rebecca Watson. Okay.
No, you just don't do that.
Yeah. There's a squid. But yeah, it's just like there's so much shit under the ocean that we just don't. We just with all the new robots and stuff that we have, I think we're going to know a lot more in 10 more years.
Yeah.
Undiscovered country.
The rate at which we're finding stuff. But orcas are dicks. So they ended up screwing up another boat. This time they just sort of destroyed the rudder. Now, this article is claiming that the reason they're doing this is as a kind of play, that the younger orcas are actually training for when they're going to go after tuna. Because tuna are the sports cars of the sea.
It's not a tuna.
Tunas are basically just one giant fast muscle. And as powerful as orcas are, they are not the easiest fish to catch. So their theory is that that this is just like a practice round that the killer whales are engaged in to try to train to go after the tuna. I think that's a lot of mind reading on a fish, don't you think, Skep?
Yeah.
Little.
Fantasizing about like tuna Olympics that these guys are getting tuned up for. I don't know. It sounds like anthropomorphic projection.
Yeah, well, they do have a stat in here. Orcas interacting with boats have been regularly appearing in the news of late, with over 600 reports coming in between 2020 and 2024.
My word.
Yeah, they've been intercepting vessels off the coasts of Morocco, Spain, and Portugal, typically taking on smaller sailboats and paying a special attention to their rudders.
They are assholes.
They are assholes. Yeah.
Something ought to be done about it.
So they didn't capsize the most recent boat, the Amidala. Self-indulgent, isn't it? Yeah, but orcas are just assholes, and the sea is terrible. So moving on. Let's see.
Sea can be frightening.
Okay, so going with the theme of Labor Day, I found this article. I think it's in Texas Monthly. So this is going to come as a surprise to people who aren't me. California is now the second home of Texas-style barbecue, according to Texas Monthly. There you go. Proof. Right? That's conclusive. That's like practically like a physical law, right, Skep?
No. Somebody paid them to say that. And anything you read in any of these Texas Monthly or D Magazine, any of that stuff, Houston, those are basically paid advertisements, like the 50 best doctors in Dallas. Come on.
Who's who in high school seniors?
Right, exactly.
You have been selected to apply. One of the most meaningless phrases ever.
It's been selected to
You've been selected to apply.
And it only costs
really?
this much money.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing. Something that did happen to my dad. Who's Who in American Engineers contacted him, but that's a thing. They asked him to, submit his biography, and there was they included him. That's the legitimate one. There used to be a legitimate organization that kept tabs in a lot of professions of who the prominent people were.
Well, let me take this article seriously for a moment, maybe more seriously than I should, but I think there is some merit to this idea. Not saying that what you're saying is wrong, but I think there's some merit to it because the California barbecue styles all are kind of centered on oak, right? So we've got a lot of the components. We've got the cattle, we've got the oak, we've got a lot of stuff in it. And I have seen a number of really good Texas-style places show up. There used to be one in Castroville, Central Texan Barbecue. And that place only went out of business because his family were lazy and terrible, and there was nobody to take over for him. He got old, and he decided to stop doing it. Like around 2016, 2018, I forget when. But that one's gone. But supposedly there's a place north of Half Moon Bay called Breakwater Barbecue, and I am definitely going to go there even if, I mean, because how disappointing can it be? I'm going to get barbecue at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
But they do list,
even mediocre barbecue is barbecue. So,
but they do list out, I mean, basically on a state by state basis, going through this whole list on Texas Monthly. They're basically saying there's more of them in California, but California is like a really big place, so it's kind of a stupid way to go through this, right?
They're publicizing something. They're doing a favor for a friend or whatever, but I wouldn't take it too seriously. You know, people from Texas who know how to cook Texas barbecue style can show up anywhere. I showed up at Virginia Beach with a bunch of my buddies last September and cooked them showed them how we do barbecue chicken in Texas. And, you know, you can have that pop up anywhere. People want to do that for a vocation. They can offer just as legitimate a Texas experience as anything you can find on Old Mansfield Highway in Mansfield, Texas.
Yeah.
That doesn't look like a restaurant. It looks like a shack.
I've had some pretty good, there's two kinds of barbecue that you always, you know, it's going to be hit or miss. And when it's hit, it's going to be really good. It's sort of, this is a church and we do this part-time to raise money for the church barbecue. That can be really good sometimes. And then there's we're selling barbecue at a gas station barbecue. And I don't ever pass those up if I can try them. There aren't really as much gas station barbecue places, or as many of them as there really should be. But there is really fantastic barbecue. There's a great barbecue place in San Juan Bautista. But in terms of, I mean, it does Texas style stuff, but Texas style works in California because we really do have the right ingredients to make it if you have the skill to do it.
Yeah, you got to have the patience.
It's got to be low and slow. You got to use the right kind of wood.
Oh my God!
And you don't. And the nice thing about it is you don't have to do a lot. If you start off with good meat and just give it the time and the temperature and base it properly,
really regulate the temperature.
You know, it's like 18 hours, and then magic happens. You know, collagen turns into gelatin. Thank you.
It is a wonderful thing.
It is a wonderful thing.
A most wondrous thing.
Anyway, I thought you'd almost be slightly more annoyed by the Texas Monthly headline, but
Texas Monthly annoys me because they've been, you know, slinging that shit for years.
Okay.
What nonsense.
That's why it's not really a real article. It's sort of in the palate cleansers.
Yes, it's just silliness.
Okay. Oakland homeless woman steals city council candidates' fundraising money. Oakland is a fantastic place, isn't it?
Well,
a homeless woman just walked up and said,
at this point, I feel like it's a mystical, magical place that doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, just there's a campaign event. She had about $1,000 in a bag, and the homeless one said, "That's my bag," and then took off. Yeah, because Oakland is a great place.
I love Oakland.
Did they find it?
Yep. Nope. Oakland McDonald's slapped with more fines over rodent infestation. Yeah, I mean, it's just like it's so easy to find bad things about Oakland. It's just terrible.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Answer for your state, Harry.
No. Let's see. Is there anything here that we really want to talk about? Under consumption core. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about a little bit of lawfare. This will get your blood pressure up. Second man admits in court he received about $600 a month to visit Oregon businesses he then sued for disability access violations. So lawyers are paying people with disabilities to go into businesses so that they can then claim that they are aggrieved parties and then file suit against them. I know that there's a guy in California that basically just goes around and he'll measure the slope of the wheelchair ramp from the parking lot and just anything, and he shakes down businesses for money, like, hey, pay me to not sue you.
Yeah, a lot of tort attorneys do that.
And he makes a lot of money doing this, but actually paying handy-capable people to go in and have them file the suits on their behalf. I don't know. This feels like a new kind of ambulance chasing, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It has aroma of dishonesty.
I'm really happy to see them going after this person, because this just feels really wrong.
I feel honestly, the lawyers should get disbarred or whatever you guys have in the States. They should get their license stripped and not allowed to practice anymore. Screw these people.
Yeah, because it's really.
I mean, like you send them in places. I'm not saying that there aren't like areas that I don't know. Maybe they failed in something, but like this is something that should be a fine if they need to have some sort of accessibility. There should be a fine from the state, not a lawsuit. At the worst. But if you're going after someone who's put something into their business, or it's a small business, or anything like this, and nothing really's happened, and you can use it, this is just gross.
It's shakedown.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it is pretty terrible. I want to. There's another Star Trek thing here. It won't take particularly long. I think we all agree. 34 years later, Star Trek's most disappointing TNG character exit still hurts. It's Wesley Crusher. Do you think
it's not.
Will Wheaton pays people to write these articles? Does he cup their balls and then ask them kindly to write these articles? Because I've seen a whole slew of pro Will Wheaton things lately in the news, and I don't understand.
Maybe he's the real Hellcat girl.
Maybe.
But it's funny how that silhouette, you could also make the argument that that's Tasha Yar. Which actually was kind of a bad exit, but whatever.
Well, the whole idea of Wesley Crusher was a bad idea. And I think this is Roddenberry's fault, right? They were trying to show how the Galaxy-class starships had room for families and all this other horse shit. They were trying to sort of humanize it, and then somebody got the bright idea to let the child fly the ship.
Yeah.
I mean, do you honestly think a real Jean-Luc Picard would let a kid fly the ship ever?
And two things. One, they showed better the softening of Picard, let's say, of children towards children through everybody but him. Every time they tried with him, it just fell completely on its face. And his parody character in Galaxy Quest was hilarious because they literally put like the 6-year-old child there.
Yeah,
it was so funny because that's how it felt. Like, oh my god, he's my age. Why are they letting him fly the ship? What the hell? And he truly was a Gary Stu because there was nothing really ever wrong with him.
Yeah.
He never really had to. He always had the right answer. Even when there was a problem ahead of him, there was never any sense of danger or failure, even when they tried to make danger. When he passes his entrance exam, there was no danger of him being the worst. They had to artificially make him sort of throw it so that he could help somebody else. Come on. It's so awful. When he's doing the Native American stuff with the Traveler, oh, he's going to ascend into a higher being. Yeah, thank you.
No, it was terrible.
I fucking hate him. And I don't know what it is, but these wokies who love STD, and all this new Trek Kirkman garbage. See, the dogs. As soon as I
The
said
dogs
Kirkman,
know.
As soon as I said Kirkman,
Everybody drink.
as soon as I say Kurtzman, the dogs go apeshit because even dogs know that Kurtzman is a total piece of trash.
Allegedly.
They fucking, all these people love Will Wheaton for some stupid reason.
Yeah, I don't. Well, for one thing, he comes off as being really kind of creepy.
Really
I get a weird vibe off of him, and I see Ann Wheaton, and I'm like, oh, you can do way better. Just like, no.
He's got that Wesley Crusher money.
Well, he showed up like in the Geek and Sundry days, right? When they sort of started. And I'm like, wait a second. How come Wesley has affixed himself to this culture? Why? He seems like, and then he's in what, Big Bang Theory? A show that I just refuse to watch. Even though I kind of think Chuck Lorre is pretty funny sometimes. I just don't like watching.
But it's
It's a bad stereotype of people, of the kind of people that I like to hang out with, and it annoys me.
Yeah.
I can't.
It started because I watched quite a bit of Big Bang Theory, except for the later seasons when I just stopped watching it. The first couple of seasons, it was a cute kind of show.
Yeah.
He ended up destroying the character Penny, like the dumb blonde, like country girl, who
Yeah.
was really cute. Like they started to show that a fun friendship, sister brother kind of thing with the tall skinny guy. I can't remember his name now. Sheldon's character. Yeah. And it slowly deteriorates. Like they kind of, the writing turns mean against her, but also like how people react with her and stuff. And I was reading and watching some videos on this, and it's like when her relationship with she was married or in a relationship or something with one of her actors there, and it's like once that broke down, they wrote all sorts of mean spirited dialogue and actions towards her. So it put a bad taste in my mouth. So
That sounds terrible.
I'm just like, okay, yeah, I even though obviously she worked like a professional through all of this towards
Kaylee
stuff, but it just
Cuoco or whatever.
Kaylee Cuoco, yeah.
I cannot pronounce. Her last name is weird, so it's Cuoco, right?
It's Cuoco. At least that's how I've always pronounced it.
Okay.
I don't have like any particularly. I'm not backing her as like on her side or anything. I don't care one way or the other. But I just felt like it's when you hear stories like this, such kind of mean spirited and how derisive the writing and mean it became. It's just like it took all the fun out of it, because there was some really funny, like I like the hijinks, almost like slap comedy, fish out of water stuff. Like yeah, it's not highbrow by any means, but it was fun. And then it just
the first season was, but everything after that it was very it was trying to portray like I think it suffers from the same thing Rick and Morty does, where it tries to portray intelligent concepts to mid-witted people to make themselves feel smarter.
Yeah,
that makes sense. And the stereotypes are, they can be funny. They just never did them funnily. It was just like, oh, he plays World of Warcraft. That now we're gonna play laugh track for 10 minutes. It just.
Speaking of that, because there's one of my actual favorite episodes is Penny, because I relate to sort of a little bit to this. Her life was kind of falling apart, and she gets into the Conan the Barbarian MMO or whatever the heck they're playing.
Oh yeah.
And basically she gets so addicted to it because it's the one thing that is going right in her life, because it's a game but she's winning at it and everything like this, that she realizes her life has hit the rock bottom when she's considering like dating like the creepy Jew guy in the game. Like that's how it was funny. Okay, I appreciated that episode. I thought it was
Jack,
great.
you are entirely right. Will Wheaton is the fat acceptance movement of TNG, and yeah, it is exactly like I freaking love science. I can't stand those people. I some of them are my friends, and I get it. I mean, it is kind of like it's candy, information candy. It's information entertainment. It's not like real. It's not substantive. So I get it. I hate it how it turns people into smug, like they actually know something about something.
Yeah, I don't know anything
If that
about
makes
anything.
sense. I don't know.
I mean, I honestly
We know
annoyed it myself.
we are, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up out of anybody's ass, but like the people that I tend to surround myself with, you guys, a lot of the people I interact with chat, we're smart enough to know that we don't know things about other stuff. And when we don't know things about other stuff, we tend not to be like, oh yeah, I know everything and anything about that, like you would with when you get like a David Pakman or Kyle Kalinske or those kinds of shit bags. Like it just, I feel that that's the same kind of attitude that these properties sort of project. Mostly I fucking love science because I think Big Bang Theory is more or less like harmless.
It's harmless, but okay, there's two forces here. There's the annoyance of the stereotypes, and then there's how entertaining the actors are in the storylines, right? So I just need it to be either less annoying or more funny for it to work for me. That's just sort of my position, because I sort of thought that the early episodes of 2.5 Men were pretty raunchy, but I enjoyed it. So I like Chuck Lorre's writing style, but the stereotypes I just kind of put me off a bit. It needs to be a little bit funnier for me to put up with it. I think Kaylee Cuoco as a pretty good actor, though. I think she did a good job. I've never had any problem with her or her character. I've seen a lot of shorts that just show up with scenes from that show.
I know that
8 Rules. She was in 8 Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter.
Never saw it.
That was fun. I really like this.
Oh, okay. Maybe I should see it. All right, let's see.
But I will preface this with I was a teenage girl. I'm not sure who the target audience for it was, but I thought it was, as a teenage girl watching it, it was very funny.
Well, you brought up Hawk Tua Girl. Now, I have so far never said anything about her on the show, but I figure you just gave me permission to bring up something involving her because you mentioned it. You opened this door. So I guess her name is Haley Welch, and she's been making the rounds. She's showing up on a lot of interview shows, and she went on with Bill Maher. I don't know if you were aware of that.
I was not aware of this.
Practically ubiquitous. It was everywhere.
It was everywhere.
And so next time you're interviewed and they ask you about it, you worked.
Ubiquitous.
You worked out.
I'm going to have to put that in my notes so I don't forget it. Actually, I might need you to sound that out for me afterwards. I'm not the best speller.
You work that in.
Ubiquitous.
You know, just be like, oh man, I was ubiquitous.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind her. I really don't mind her. She seems a little simple, you know, like maybe she's not the most educated person, but I don't get the impression that she's stupid or
she's
evil.
Not Miss Carolina or whatever her name was.
Yeah, no, because
such as
and she hasn't what is it, unburdened what has been burdened. What I mean, she sounds smarter than Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
She seems like she'll be fun.
Yeah.
A little bar though, Harry.
I think, but every clip I've seen of her doing something, I keep going, this doesn't bother me.
No.
You know, make your money. Get your 15 minutes of fame extended to 45 minutes.
Girly.
It's fine. I'm sorry?
I said, get paid, girly.
Yeah, get paid. I mean,
why not? Ride that train. You have your 15 minutes of fame and you're getting 15 minutes. So.
Yeah, sell some merch. You know?
This is the thing. This kind of stuff, like these kind of man on the streets here, I'm going to they hunt down for these like intoxicated girls and people so they can, that's how they, you know, get their views and stuff. So I think it's deserved because these guys are scumbags, and you can say like, yeah, she may not have said something, she could have been smarter, but she obviously isn't like maybe the brightest bulb. So I think this is fun. And
she's not educated. I don't know. I can't gauge her intelligence, but she's definitely not worldly. She's a simple creature.
But she's sweet, and I don't like people who go after these kind of, like, for this instance, right? Like, we're gonna humiliate somebody.
I've seen I saw a video of her with her mom where I guess she's saying, my grandma asked me what Hawk Tua means. And then she and her mom basically sort of spoke this little song about Hawk Tua means friendship. It means this. It means that. I wish I had the clip to that. It's actually pretty funny. Okay. I'm like, she is not taking herself too seriously. I have no problem with the young lady at all. More power to her.
That's funny.
So
that's really funny.
Let's see. We've got 2 things that qualify for last story. Which one do we want to do? Okay, we can save that one.
When you come to a fork in the road.
We come to a fork in the road, and there's penis news to the left, penis news to the right. Which one do you decide to go with?
Go between
the biggest.
Exactly. Sorry, just saw. I think I've got some neighbors that have got a big enough fire flashing that I can see the light out of the corner of my eyes. Yeah, don't burn down your house. That would be bad.
Just make sure that that's an intentional fire and not.
Well, let's It won't take particularly long. We can do both of these, honestly. A decade of "I love you" texts led to 2 execs firing. Now a bank wants to claw back millions in pay. So apparently they're going to block me out. Well, what ended up happening was at a bank, Royal Bank of Canada, there was this I think it was the chief CFO who essentially had a 10-year-long fling with this one junior executive. And he kept getting pay raises and promotions and really good evaluations. And they were both married to other people, but they would hook up and he just got advanced. And now that they've sort of figured out, well, the reason all this stuff happened was because they were knocking boots. In their notes that they had, they would say they were having meetings to discuss liquidity.
Yeah, they were.
So now, Skep, they want to basically claw back some of the money that they paid this guy because he wasn't entitled to that compensation. How do you think this is going to play out?
No, that his attorney is going to come in. Can we see, the evaluations, not his evaluations, her evaluations.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's how they will hang these guys. You never said anything about this. You never showed any duty of care or any curiosity about what was going on here. There was no audit of this guy. There's going to be defects in their side to the point where I think that's going to weaken what they have to say to a judge.
Yeah. I don't think this is going to go anywhere personally, but
yeah,
I think it's funny.
I don't think they'll ever get any money back. I don't think they'll ever get any money back.
But it's the end of the career for both of these people. So
oh yeah.
Yeah. Just like
and the bank, the bank is like a banking business is like a guild. These people's names will be on a list. And
they're not going anywhere.
There really is a list that these people are not to be touched.
It's like card counting at a casino. Oh, you're in the book.
yeah, exactly. We got your fingerprint this time. Next time it's your finger.
So
you see what I put in the side chat?
No. Should I see what you put in the side chat?
Oh yeah.
That's from Haley and her mom.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll do that. We'll do that. But one more thing.
Oh, it's this girl.
Yeah.
I like they make cute songs. I like her. Yeah.
Okay. So, why do they even sell that? DoorDasher says boomers should not be allowed on platform. So,
wait, what? What?
So this woman was doing the DoorDash thing, and DoorDash isn't just food; it's also COVID test kits from Walgreens or things from wherever. So this
their gopher service.
TikToker, a DoorDash driver, recently vented on TikTok, revealing some of the more unusual stuff people order on the app and the awkward situations that follow. In the video posted August 18th, TikToker Aylin Raymond begins by sharing details of her shift. She describes it as quite literally one of the most awkward she's ever had. So the TikToker recounts an order from a customer named Rob, in quotes, who, among other items, requested an adult toy. Rob ordered an expletive ring from CVS on Wednesday at 7:45 p.m., she explains in the video. The situation worsened when Aylin found out the item was out of stock, forcing her to message Rob to ask if he wanted a full refund or replacement. But to her dismay, Rob didn't respond. Protocol is that we were supposed to call them and ask, Aylin says in the video. But I'm like, what am I going to say on the phone to this man?
This guy's a sex pest. Oh my God.
Yeah. She says she ultimately decided to wait 5 minutes and then refund the item and prepare to drop off the rest of Rob's order. Yeah. Relieve the delivery instructions said leave order at door. Aylin says she hoped to avoid a face-to-face encounter. But this idea of like DoorDasher says boomers shouldn't be allowed on the platform. why are we blaming boomers for all this sort of stuff? Is it only boomers that at 7:45 decide they need marital aids and then send like an 18-year-old to go pick them up? Why are boomers getting blamed for this? Or is it only...
I agree. It's not boomers. It's just sex pests in general. But how can you know?
And since when did they sell cock rings and things at CVS?
Oh, probably it's in the family planning area because they have like sexual wellness shit.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I know they have sexual wellness stuff, but...
well, that'll be a part of it.
Didn't things like that used to get sold at the shameful store at the outskirts of town?
Right.
We are in the year of our Lord 2024.
Yeah.
It's a magical time and place.
It's a magical time and place. All right. Clearly, I do not know what's going on at CVS.
Harry and I are firmly ensconced in 1990.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. Take me with you.
Man, 1984 was a great year.
Oh, it was indeed.
And 1986 was even better. Man, the 80s were such good years.
I just graduated from graduate school. I was so happy. I never went to see another classroom ever.
Yeah, no, I bought my my SVO Mustang with the Coney shocks and the gator backs. Nice. Oh, man, that was a great time.
Good stuff.
It was a good time. Well, the current times aren't so bad, honestly. We get to make fun of all sorts of stuff, and we have a musical thing to play us out, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Copy that link, copy link address, and we put it up here, and then we do this, and we do this.
University of Northern Alabama, but she had to drop out to pay the bills and take care of my grandma.
Good girl.
And then she went viral, so she made some cash, but Granny keeps asking her what Hawk Tuah means, so we wrote this song for Haley's grandma to explain myself to the elderly.
Okay. Look at the big smile on her face. She's fine. She's fine.
Hawk Tuah means being selfless. Hawk Tuah means you care. Hawk Tuah is another word for hard work, like rolling up your sleeves and tying back your hair. Hawk Tuah means loving affection. Hawk Tuah means
we're in a recession, Grandma. Stop asking so many questions.
This is Haley.
So great.
I don't know. I think her mom's a little on the hot side. I kind of like her
That's
mom.
not her mom.
Oh, who is it?
She's a YouTuber. She does all these cute little jingles and stuff. She's
okay.
been with a lot of different like.
They look like they're related. I almost thought it was her mom. Oh well, what do I know?
No, she's another YouTuber. She has all sorts of cute little ditties.
Okay, well, I take it back then.
The bottles that their hair color came out of.
Everybody's smiling. Everybody's having a good time. Nobody got hurt.
No, this is excellent.
That's right.
This is very wholesome.
I advocate more of this.
Yeah. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's
made me
fine.
Smile.
All right. I feel like we've...
Good one to end on.
Yeah, that is a good one. That's the best part of the show right at the end. Anyway,
we're ending with a song for Granny Hawk Tuah.
Well, this has been your Minions of the Zoo for Saturday. Thank you, panel. Thank you, chat. Zoo's closed. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.